So after the welcome and housekeeping, what we're going to do is we're going to have this breakout discussion where we're going to be discussing the governance, and we have two prompts for you to discuss inside this breakout room. And then we're going to report out about the maintenance level governance working group. So each working group, like localization for me, other working group going to be reporting out of their update. And then we're going to be speaking about the constitution level steering committee. We're going to have a break for 10 minutes, and we're going to come back for some community announcement. And then at the end, it's going to be open Q&A and discussion and closing. So starting with the breakout room, we have two prompts for you. The first one is, please do point out in the chat if you're not sure how to rename your, which one you prefer, spoken or written. And the prompt that we have to you is, one of these questions is about what sort of good practices of maintenance and sustainability that you've seen in a different community that you'd like to take into the Turing Way. So it's really about sort of recalling your memory about any sort of really good experience that you've witnessed in any kind of community. It doesn't have to be an open science community, particularly about the maintenance and sustainability of that community, and then thinking and reflecting how we can bring these practices and models to the Turing Way. And the second question is about, again, expanding about the sustainability, is thinking about what sort of diverse source of funding and sustainability that you would imagine and you would like to see when it comes to the Turing Way. So, okay, what we're gonna do right now, I'm gonna try and copy and paste this question in the chat, and we're gonna try and open a breakout room. I'm gonna stop sharing so I can move Vika. Yeah, thank you, Mavika, for starting recording. So I hope you have wonderful and nice discussion in your breakout room. Is there anyone who would like to voice out or share any of the insight that you had in your breakout room? Don't be shy. No one? Oh, Sarah, but I can't talk. Okay.
Maybe Anne
So
can share.
yeah.
I was going to say I
Thank
can
you.
jump in because I also started whispering, even though I've no reason to whisper. Sarah had some really good points. We were talking about like, I think it became a much more general discussion around, for example, does, focusing on developing governance structures then affect your ability to have external outputs, meaning that internal work affects the ability to do externally faced work, and how that payoff is something that to like balance in the equation because it's inevitable in every community that we kind of wrote about together. Yeah, and we listed out a couple of organizations that we looked towards, that we looked in, that we were a part of. And I think that that's pretty much what we had time for.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else would like to share anything as well? Yeah, Christy.
Yeah, I can share 2 points. So one is that it's actually really important to keep introducing yourself and keep going over kind of the purpose of the project, that actually if you don't do that, it's very, very difficult for new people to join. And so it's very difficult to do because it feels repetitive for the people who've been in there for a long time, been in the community for a long time. But if you don't, you sort of take this cohort and you move them up the kind of expertise ladder, but you never fill in the back. And so continuing to say, hello, who are you? What do you work on? This is what this project does. This is who we are, is really important. I think it's a really important aspect of sustainability. And then the other one that I was going to say is maybe a little bit nihilistic, but I mean it in quite a sort of positive way. I actually don't think that there are very many projects that have good practices of maintenance and sustainability, as in it's such a radical thing to try to do that it's very hard to do. And once you're inside of most community-led open source projects, so I'm making a distinction there between sort of open source projects that are licensed but generally paid for by specific companies. I think they're doing fine. I think they're not burning out quite so much. But anything that's community-led, actually on the inside, almost no one is like cool, calm, and collected about it all. And I have this conversation with Chris Holgraf from 2i2c on a sort of, weekly basis that says what we're trying to do is extremely hard. And so if it feels hard, that's the reason.
Thank you, Chrissy. That's interesting take. Anyone else before I move in and we start reporting of the working group? Okay, we do have also a GitHub issue that I'm going to mention at the end of the call that you can share any insight about your discussion or something else. So yeah, moving on to the second thing that we're going to go over is reporting from the working groups. So we have different working groups: accessibility, translation, Book Dash, and infrastructure. We're going to start with the Book Dash one with Ariel. Ariel, are you comfortable to share your report out from your working group?
Yes, hello everyone. We are in the thick of it at the moment, preparing for our May 2025 Book Dash. This is actually going to be split into two parts. This is the first time that we're trialing this model, but we are hosting a workshop and a hack day session at Collaborations Workshop in May. So if anybody's coming to the Collaborations Workshop, you should totally come and hang out with us. But we are also running the following week after Collaborations Workshop, we are running a 2-day online contribution sessions, which are closer to the model that we've run previously for the last few years since the pandemic meant that we went all entirely online. Applications are open until the 20th of April, although in practicality, this means that we are accepting applications until the 21st of April because it is a bank holiday in the UK this weekend, a nice long one, so we have the Monday off. I'm very excited to trial this model. There will also be community share-outs happening on the 22nd of May. And I will also plug that we are offering a GitHub Skill Up session on the 6th of May as well for folks. And that's open to everyone, regardless of whether or not you are coming to the Book Dash. We just run those to help people get started. I do want to say a huge thank you to Patricia Hetterich, Sarah Villa, Precious Oniwuchi, Liz Hare and Seon Olafemi, who are our planning committee members and our returning working group members as well, Carlos Martinez, Esther Plomp, Emma Caroon, and Ale Arajo Alvarez, who are all working really hard. We're so excited for this Book Dash as well. We've got a few awesome social sessions planned, and we're just really grateful as well for SSI support. So thank you. Any questions, please put them in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ariel. Okay. So the next working group is the translation localization, and that's me reporting about the translation localization. Just following up about what Ariel has mentioned about the Book Dash. I will be joining the Book Dash, also representing the localization, assuming that my application gets accepted by the Book Dash committee. I'm going to be joining the collaboration workshop and also the online one. So if you join in, if you would like to contribute to translation through the Book Dash, do get in touch with me. I can help you with the onboarding and can help you with the steps and also with your application. We have resumed also all of our localization and onboarding calls this year, and the next one gonna be in the 26th of April. We had a new group actually joined us, and they have their own also a Slack channel, a new Portuguese group. They've been very, very active. They've done a lot of quite new translation. They've been led by Natu, who I've met through the the Einstein Foundation Berlin, and they've been doing amazing work. So we were discussing with the infrastructure team about just deploying the Portuguese one rather than the multi-deployment that we've been sort of struggling with in a bit, because there's been sort of active and a good translation being done through the Portuguese version. We are reviewing this issue with the infrastructure team 3255 about, I believe Jim gonna elaborate more about it, about the deployment. In terms of celebration, I'm delivering a keynote here in Saudi. I'm speaking from Saudi. So this is going to be in King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals. You probably never heard about it, but we be speaking and bringing up about the localization, the Turing Way, and different projects. We already delivered a talk about also localization, right to left languages at the first backstage with Rishi and Sandy. Yeah. I do have, there's one question. I believe this is more of a question to the steering committee rather than challenge, but something that been brought up by different translators is about reducing a certificate for the translators. Again, it's something probably we can discuss it more within the steering committee. What else that I'm gonna mention? Yeah, and we're gonna be also opening a call after the book dash to nominate individuals to co-lead the localization and translation with me. Yeah, thank you so much. Again, if you have any questions, anything, just drop me in the chat on Slack. The next working group is accessibility. Liz, are you comfortable to report on the accessibility?
Yeah. Just a minute. I have some long links being read out.
Take your time, Naresh.
So our successes for this couple of months. We have changed our monthly meeting time earlier in the day. We're hoping to be convenient for more people to join us easily. It's 3 p.m. on every second Monday of the month. So now hopefully it's not during commute time for people in the UK. We've also been reviewing chapters that were produced during particularly Precious's chapter on left-handedness that was produced during the last book dash in November. Challenges that we're facing is kind of getting the accessibility policy out there so that people can read it and learn about it within the Turing Way, and also, maybe can refer to it when creating their own accessibility policies. Another challenge that we have is it's kind of a lot of time for a volunteer-led and volunteer not just the leadership, but it's hard for people to spend time on this for various reasons. Things that we are celebrating. We have reached out to a group of people who have all contributed awesome things in the last 2 or 3 years to our work and the accessibility policy and chapters. We are hoping to, kind of foster member retention and also get people to think about, what kinds of accessibility barriers are in the community and what they might like to work on improving. We're also going to do some collaboration with the new community management working group to make sure that they have guidance on having inclusive events and communications. As far as call to action, we are looking at small grants from the Cognitive Science Society for Inclusion and Accessibility. I may be putting one in with the Many Dogs Project, but that is an opportunity that exists for people who are in cognitive science that I'd be happy to collaborate with people on. We're always looking to bring more access-centered practices through the community, as I've mentioned before. And at some point, we've had lots of, with all the changes that have been going on with the Turing Way and leadership and funding, this is kind of taken a back burner, but at some point we want to think about what part of the book the accessibility guide will go in, and whether it should be its own book or part of the ethics guide. And that is it for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz. Amazing update. I'm going to expand later about this community management group, working group later. But before that, we're going to go to the infrastructure with Jim. Yeah.
Jim is in transit today, and Sarah is in the room. So I wonder if we can put Sarah on spot for this one.
Oh, I can try. Yeah, so some things we've gotten through, especially after the migration to Jupyter Book 2, is we managed to turn the pathways feature back on, which we had to temporarily disable as it wasn't compatible with the new table of contents file layout with Jupyter Book 2. So Jim did some great work to kind of like reconfigure the module that does that work and re-enable that. We also managed to remove some dependencies of the build so that the build becomes quicker and easier, and maintaining this in the long run is going to be a lot easier. Challenges, as ever, time marches onwards. We're a very stretched team, and infrastructure work tends to take a lot of deep diving concentration. So trying to find those pockets where we can really push something through is difficult. And we're also finding that there are many small differences in Jupyter Book 2 that we need to address for moving forward. For example, the @ symbol that we often use in like citations for Instagram and the site that shall not be named, that is now a specific symbol in Jupyter Book 2, and it tries to read it as a citation. And so we have to escape @ symbols if we are not using them for that purpose, etc., etc. So on the upside, we have moved to like an agile board method, and our meetings tend to be looking at that board and working through and identifying, you know, what's getting left behind. And this seems to be pretty good at keeping us on track. We welcomed Johanna to our last working group meeting. Really great to have you. I don't know if she's on the call, but if you are, thank you. Others are welcome as well. And we found some exciting new examples of like multilingual projects as well that we might be able to learn from in deploying the book, the Turing Way, in multiple languages as well. So our calls to action are, if you find anything that's like buggy or just like something's not rendering right in the new build, please let us know. We're still like working through a few things, and we're working through things upstream with the MIST MD team as well. And if you want to get involved in some more deep diving techie stuff, we do have a list of good first issues on our board, and you can let us know in the infrastructure channel on Slack if you need any assistance. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. A lot of thank you in the chat for the infrastructure team. Sarah just mentioned she loves the pathway. She just seen it recently, so thank you so much. I'm always fascinated by all the activity that you guys do. Thank you. So with that, that's the end of the update from the working group. But let's see if my slide is moving. Yeah. So some of the update mentioned this community management working group that we have introduced very recently. Again, if you've been to the previous community call, you're probably familiar what we mean with this community management working group, which is sort of a new model that we're moving into. We had an issue that Malvika opened about people volunteering to join this community management working group. And right now it's been, I believe, finalized. Correct me if I'm wrong, Malvika. But we have, thank you so much for people who's joining. These are the picture of them, some of them already in the call. Thank you so much for Alejandro, for Joanna, for Niha, for Sarah, for Surajit, for Shan, for Renee. And this also being sort of organized and supported by both Anne and Lily. There is already the issue is 4014. If you have any sort of comments, Malvika, correct me, is it still open for people to join for this year?
Yeah, so I will say let's pass it to Anne so she can share a little bit about how she set it up and what's going to happen next.
Hi, everyone. So delighted to share a little bit more information about the Community Management Working Group. So for context, as Batul kindly shared, we send out an open call for folks to be able to join this working group that will be incubating throughout 2025. You're always welcome to join. You can comment on the issue or join the community management channel on Slack. But these wonderful folks, this group has spanning from California to here in the UK to the Netherlands next door, all the way to Australia, have come together to kind of support key community management tasks and keep the lights on and the Slack messages answered, so to speak. So in the coming months, you might be seeing them hosting community calls, commenting on your issue or pull request, doing all of the things that make people feel nurtured and engaged and welcome here. So we'll share more information about the why, which we have shared in previous community calls, but we'll be bringing a little bit more context here a little bit later on. But yeah, don't want to distract from the big thank you to these folks that were attending our first kickoff meeting this April. You're always welcome to join our co-working call on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. UK time, and feel free to reach out directly too.
Thank you so much, Anne, and thank you, Lily, also for adding the issue number. Just Lily added it to the chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, with that, we're going to be moving to discuss the big announcement about the governance, and I'm going to hand it to Malvika to share this bit. So I'm going to stop sharing. Malvika, would you be able to share from your screen? I think that's better.
Yeah, I think we are in the middle mark. It would be helpful to just take 5 minutes break and come back, then we can continue. Then we can continue. So suggest take 5 minutes break. If you come back sooner, I suggest you also read some of the icebreaker response, which are beautiful of what people have learned from open source, open science communities. I'll put a timer and see you in 5 minutes.
Thank you, Malvika. Yeah.
From Saudi Arabia. And we do have 45 minutes more, about 41 minutes at this stage. The second part will focus largely on the governance at the constitution level. And I do have a big update for you all today to share. So thank you for your patience. I'm not going to share my screen, but I will be reading something that I wrote, but also I have half of the text that is legally important for me to read to you. So today's update is about something that we have been discussing slowly, that the funding and sustainability is one of the main focus for us in the Turing Way this year and going forward. Since 2019, the Turing Way, founded by Kirsty, has generously supported by the Alan Turing Institute. Several roles, including mine, community management role, and previously Kirsty's role, now Lele, Ariel's role as well, have been supported within the Turing Institute. this affiliation has been really important for us to build the project, to get the recognition that it has received so far. And it has also enabled us to nurture and scale our community building and coordination effort. It's needless to say that if we didn't have these full resources available to us, we wouldn't have been able to do what we've been able to do in the community management. Our work in community building, coordination, community members' engagement, in developing resources through participatory approaches, and advocacy for data science best practices have been extremely important in making it a global reference resource for many, many organizations beyond the Turing Institute. So we're very deeply thankful for our community as well as the Turing Institute for everything that has happened. So today I want to inform you that this institutional funding and affiliation is coming to an end. As of June 2025, the Institute will no longer be financially supporting the Turing Way. Nonetheless, we extend our sincere gratitude to the Alan Turing Institute for their support over the past years, which has made this project and community a really good success. So that's the part that I really wanted to tell you. I also am obliged to tell you legally a few things that I'm going to read to you. You can completely ignore them, or if you have questions, please reach out to me. In recent months, the Turing has been going through a transformation process which requires substantial organizational change to ensure Turing delivers on the role of UK's National Institute. This means shaping a new phase for the Institute, moving away from working on large number of projects to instead concentrate their effort on small set of missions and strategic projects in line with their strategy. The Turing is extremely proud of all the excellent work Turing researchers have done and they have partnered with, and decided that some of the projects are no longer aligned with the Turing Institute strategy in the next phase. This is not a reflection on the quality of research. It is linked to only their decision to focus on smaller projects which are aligned with mission and strategy. That's the end of legal text. But as we are moving on with this transition, I want to acknowledge as a Turing project team lead that it is a significant shift in how we are going to think about maintenance and sustainability going forward. This does open up a new chapter for us to think about how we look at new ways of working and funding to support our work. There were many things that we weren't able to do as a result. We weren't able to do because of our affiliation within the UK and with the National Institute. So we also can think about some of the things we weren't previously able to do, which are of our strong interest. Another important news is that as part of this transition, I will also be leaving the Turing Institute end of June, and that would be my last month as a funded role in project lead. I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity and trust this community has put in me, and I've had the opportunity to grow alongside all of you. So I remain really, really committed to the project, and I want to ensure that the transition that we will do in the next months will be with full involvement from my side, alongside my team members, Ariel, Bennett, and Lee Steele, and Lily. So this is a massive shift. It's a good opportunity for us to take remaining part of this call to hear from you what you think. We also have a few more updates that we want to share with you before we actually move on to opening discussion. I do have like a massive thing that I would post somewhere else so that we can save more time here to listen from you. But I want to really acknowledge the care and effort each of you have put into this project. And going forward, we want to move away from depending on single funding source to making our project multi-institutional supported. I want to especially acknowledge the role of Kirsty Whitaker as the founder, who seeded the project with founding members from all across the UK. A lot of them are still in this room, and I'm really grateful for what you all have done. I had the opportunity to join this project in 2019 in focusing on the community growth and scale. To connect with our open science community. And we did smaller things like collaboration cafes and book dash and fireside chat, which all scaled during pandemic. And pandemic also allowed us to engage in the global scale that we didn't think was possible. We were joined by Anne as community manager, Ariel Bennett at the time as project program manager, now senior researcher, Alexandra Araujo Alvarez, and Lele as research project manager, And I have been extremely grateful to work with these people. I thank all these team members for shaping the way we work with the community and for teaching me how we can advocate for best practice. I can't name everybody, but just want to acknowledge that the leadership is not limited to these people. Leadership has been really taken on by people in maintenance group, in working group, thanks to Emma, Esther, Batul, Sarah, Jim, Danny, Alejandro, Carlos, Liz, Brigitta, Johanna, Sharon, Sarah, Saranjeet, Renee, Neha, Precious, all of you all. Thank you so much for being part of this community. I'm really, really grateful. I'm gonna stop talking about that now for a moment. If you have any immediate question, I'll take that, but I also have a few more massive updates to share. Cannot be as massive as this one. So I hope you can save your question for until we get through. Right, so as part of the change that we are talking about, we will have some changes in the roles as well. So I've already talked about the change would mean that I would be, well, the change doesn't mean that that required me to leave. It's my personal choice to leave. But through this, I want to pass it to Anne to let her tell you about community management.
Thanks, Malvika. Yes, so as Malvika shared, it's now officially time for us to announce that support for community management and project management within the Turing Way from the Alan Turing Institute will officially be ending this summer. I wish I could give you an exact date and time, but we don't have those yet. So it will be during the summer. This means that over the course of the next few months, more seriously, myself and Lele will be winding down our official roles as the research community manager and the research project manager, respectively, as employees of the Turing. So logistically, what comes next is we'll be providing secretarial and managerial support for working groups, incubating the community management working group, which will be taking over key community management tasks and nurturing our community garden and nurturing our collective spaces. We'll be preparing documentation and handover support for smooth onboarding for the working groups, for different members of the community, for possible future roles as we think about kind of what the next iteration of the Turing Way looks like. And we'll also be holding, very importantly, listening sessions with you all, with working groups, to understand the needs of our community as we head into this kind of new phase. Yeah, so with that, a logistical kind of update in mind, you might be wondering on the less logistical side, what does that mean for myself and for Lele? Will I ever see them ever again? And that doesn't necessarily mean the end of our engagement with the Turing Way. If Kirsty can do it as the founder of the project, if Malvika can do it as a co-lead of the project, that means we can do it too. And we'll be transitioning into community members during the summer period as well. And again, speaking for myself here, supporting the working groups as and supporting the community since 2022, since I stepped into the role, has really kind of had so many echoes across so many different areas of my life. It's really been such a privilege to work with you all as a community manager. I feel like I've become a community manager in so many other spaces of my life because of it, including my family during family reunions. Big shout out to the accessibility working group, which taught me how to create inclusive spaces and really actively facilitate and steward them. Shout out to the infrastructure working group when we made that epic YouTube video that brought us into a GitHub organization for the first time. That was a big highlight from 2023. Big shout out to the translation and localization team, which really taught me about this kind of wider world of, of trying to answer the question of who really has access to the technologies and the research that we make. And how do we steward that access in more mindful and thoughtful and inclusive ways? Yeah, and we'll also be sharing more information over the next couple of months, but really that's the big announcement that we will be stewarding kind of the next new steps over the next coming months. And it's been a privilege to be with you all.
Thank you, Anne. I'm going to share my screen back again. Lost it for a second. Oops, right. There you go. Thank you so much, Anne. So in the same vein, senior researcher role, one of them was held by me, will no longer be allocated to the Turing Way. As part of this transition, I'm handing over responsibility of the Turing Way Practitioners Hub to Ariel, which we will talk about in next. But Ariel and I will be supporting the operationalization and functioning of steering committee, which we will be talking about after this. And I will be chairing the committee until a new chair from within the committee has been elected. The next step for the senior researchers, that's Ariel and I, is to provide secretariat and management support to the steering committee. We will be supporting the election of a chair, chair-elect, secretary, secretary-elect, or other members that the committee thinks would be important to have. We will also be providing documentation and handover support for our working groups and steering committee where needed to make sure that people who are joining these places have smooth onboarding. We will also be identifying partnership and funding opportunity for committee and management related roles. So as Anne said, although this is massive announcement, it doesn't mean that the work has stopped, and we don't think the work will stop anytime soon. So we would make sure that we look for sustainability in that direction. I'm going to invite Ariel to tell us a bit more about the Turing Way Practitioners Hub.
Yep. Hello, everyone. So the Turing Way Practitioners Hub, which has had 2 enormously successful cohorts so far, we've just opened up our expressions of interest for a 3rd. This will continue to be a funded project of Bridge AI through to March 2026. The Practitioners Hub is intended to engage companies with open source and ethical AI practices. Malvika was the originator of this concept all the way back in 2022, and has done an incredible job of leading the program and then bringing me on as a co-lead over the last cohort. And with Malvika leaving the Institute, I'll be taking over leading the delivery of the final cohort going forward. I think that's pretty much it. We're continuing to commit to sharing learnings with the wider organization and community as well. And if you see opportunities to bring Practitioner Hub concepts or materials more deeply into your work, then let's have a chat about it, and I'd love to give you guys updates. And please do feel free to share the expression of interest with your networks as well.
Thank you, Ariel. And that brings me to a segue to some much more optimistic directions. This is a slide I showed last time, and I wanted to bring back for folks who weren't there in the last call. We talked about how, in some ways, when you look back to how your community has developed, you can categorize logical boxes within which it all makes sense. But at the time, of course, we didn't know what was happening while you're in the system. So looking back, we spent a lot of time in 2019, 2021 working at the community level to make sure that community level activities are operationalized, that people know what's happening and where they have agency. In 2021, 23, we worked with a lot of support from our community management and project management team on maintenance level organizing, which has led to subsequent year in having working group doing amazing work that we are hearing about now. In the last years, we also worked a lot on understanding how do we look at the final, that constitution level governance. And we are hoping that this is the area where we will see a lot more efforts going into the operationalization. So that brings me to a very, very joyful news for all of us that officially our steering committee has started to function as of last week. We have welcomed Batul, Emma Karoon, so Batul to represent localization and translation working group. Emma Karoon is representing Book Dash working group. Jim Mage is representing infrastructure working group. Liz Hare is accessibility working group. Kirsty has joined as the Turing Way and Jupyter Hub collaboration project. Ariel will be representing the Practitioners Hub and has brought in community management working group. And I am representing Data Science Without Borders, but I am also alongside Ariel and Lele supporting the transition as part of the project delivery team. I want to just give a shout out to Lele. We have named her in multiple slides, and Lele, although a huge artist, doesn't feel very comfortable on Zoom calls. So please do catch her for anything you want to chat with her one-on-one. And we had our first meeting last week, which was mostly to get the committee members to learn about each other so we could start the onboarding. Next, we are going to run twice monthly meetings, and next meeting would be chaired by Ariel as I'm away. If you are very new to what we are talking about, we do have documentation as a documentation first project. The Books Forward has governance overview, but there are a lot of resources that the steering committee will be reviewing and approving and putting online. You can follow all of our work in the project number 10. We will centralize all issues and pull requests from all across the GitHub organization. And we'll try to make sure that all conversation that we are having can be made transparently available by a newsletter, community forum, and GitHub overall. I want to finish here for that. One thing that we learned last time is that a lot of people were interested in talking about governance, and committee forum every 2 months are not sufficient, and the steering committee will take some time to become operationalized. So we wanted to create a parallel space for committee members to come and talk about governance beyond community forum. And for that, we have partnered with Software Sustainability Institute to host a series of fireside chats on governance. Our goal is to build a shared space for knowledge exchange on governance from not just within the Turing Way community, but also from communities around us who've done similar work as us or have made these transition a few years ago, and they can share their wisdom with us. We want to bring discussions that generally we hear in board meetings in closed room, but be a bit more open about it. We will also invite community leaders to share their learnings. We have curated some topics that you can identify in the GitHub issue on governance. Actually, fireside chat, someone can post it in the chat. And yeah, at the end of the fireside chat series, we will finish with hopefully a November book dash where we can invite people who have attended these fireside chat series to develop a chapter, of course, because why would we be in the Turing Way if we can't write a chapter? So that brings us to a close of
We've lost your voice, Malvika.
When did you
everyone. When you said we're gonna close something before you share your screen. Yeah.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you.
Now, I had a momentary internet outage, so it's possible. So I was just saying that that's the end of the governance level, constitution level update. And I'm happy to open the floor for open question, discussion on all the things we have shared, but also a huge shout out to people who have joined our steering committee. We are very excited to plan our future community forums with them. And Max doesn't care. Everyone cares, but Max just cares about cuddles. So we have a cat in Sarah's room who is showing lots of affection. I can pause the recording. Right, I found my right screen and I will share that with some updates. Go ahead, Batul.
Yeah, I think it's the next slide, not this one. So this has already been. Are you sharing whole screen, Malvika? Right now
Yes.
it's sharing the same slide that you. No, it's not. So right now you're sharing not whole screen and just it's showing the fireside chat series and governance that you've already went through it.
Is that right?
I can see working group listening sessions on my
Really?
screen.
Really, I don't see it. Okay, it's fine. If you see work in group listening session, that's fine. It means that you're looking at the right screen. This is again the listening session that Anne has spoken about it first, and then Ariel has mentioned it, and Malvika also has mentioned it. So we offering this listening session for people who's not part of this working group to come and join in the collaboration cafe. And when Ariel gonna be hosting this listening session for people to come, bring in their concerns, ideas, questions, any reflection about things that you've heard today you couldn't share. Please do come up to these. We had a collaboration cafe just, I believe, yesterday. So the next one is going to be 2 weeks on Wednesday at 3 p.m. UTC. Next slide. Yeah, so this is the GitHub issue that I've mentioned earlier as well. So it's similar to that discussion that we had in the breakout room about, if you recall any sort of model community that you've joined in, you're inspired by how they sort of design their sustainability model. If there is also bad practices, you can't find good practices, but there's bad practices that I think we should be sort of avoiding. Again, please feel free to add anything into this GitHub issue. It's 4140. Yeah, thank you. And the last one, again, this is about the Fireside chat series that Malvika have mentioned. If you have any topics that you'd like to be sort of discussed in the next series, you can add it to this issue. Or get in touch with us also in Slack or in the collaboration cafe that we can discuss. If you have a speaker in mind, also you can add it into that GitHub issue. Did I miss anything, Malvika? You want to mention about this in particular?
No, that's good.
Okay. And I yeah, and again, don't forget the book dash. Please, there's a lot of work have been done in sort of and organizing these book dash. We have also a form in Spanish. It's the next, I believe someone can add this to the chat. The deadline is 20th of April. If you're struggling, you're not sure what sort of idea, how you fill in your form, just get in touch with us and we can help you and support you in your application as well. Next. Yeah, and the last slide. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone. Thank you for the community. Believe we are on time.
Well, thank you so much, Batul, for chairing today's call. Thank you, everyone, for being on the call. We'll see you on Slack. We'll see you on Collaboration Cafe, and enjoy Easter weekend if you are in Europe and have any holiday.
Thank you, everyone.